As the hostess, I believe that the monk should go next with his valiant tale. Well, I think I should go, 'cause I have noble tales too. And I know what you're gonna say, Mrs. Hostess. Let someone else go. But if y'all don't let me go, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave right now. By the way, I'm a little drunk. Just a nip. And if y'all don't let me go, just let me tell my story, please, Mr. Monk. Because this is an important story. This is the tale and legend of a carpenter and his wife, and how a clerk made a fool of the carpenter. As in he screwed her. He screwed the guy's wife. And I know what some of you might be thinking, like Mr. Reeve. You might be thinking that, like, it's not okay to talk about a wife. But I have a wife too. And whatever she does with her poonanny is like her business. So it's okay. This is the Millers. Okay, so our story starts with this Oxford student, Nicholas. And he studied stars, or like astrology. And he's well acquainted with the art of lovemaking, if like you get like sex. And he stayed with a rich but slow carpenter named John, who's jealous and possessive of his sexy 18-year-old wife, Allison, because, like, he's old and she's young and sexy. And one day, John's gone, and Nicholas starts, like, flirting with Allison, and he's like, you got pretty hair, and you smell nice, and if, like, you're an angel you're a fallen angel person. And then he grabs her, and she's like, oh no, help, help. And he cries, because he's like a little pansy. And after a few sweet words where he's all like, come on, please. She's like, okay. She's like, I'll sleep with you if you promise that John won't find out, because I'm worried about him. And Nicholas is like, I got this, baby doll. Also, this whole time, there's this guy, Absalom. And he's all like, Allison, I'm going to give you gifts and money because I love you. And then she's like, I don't really love you. I love other people. And so, finally, Nicholas comes up with this plan where he pretends to be sick. And so then Allison tells John that Nick is sick. And then John tells a servant to go see Nick. And the servant tells John, yeah, Nick actually is pretty sick. So then John goes to see Nick. And when he goes to see him, Nick's all like, I've had this vision. And I've had this vision that Noah's flood is coming. And John's like, well, it makes sense that you were sick and you had this vision because you've been questioning God's work with your study of stars or whatever. And John's, being a good hubby, is all like, I'm going to take care of myself and my wife, and I guess, Nicholas, you can come along too. And Nick's like, okay, cool. Let's build some tubs with stuff, and we'll, like, put them on the roof. And he says, okay, this flood's coming Monday night. So then Monday night comes, and Nick is like, oh, by the way, we can't talk, we can only pray. And John's like, yeah, of course that makes sense. And as soon as John is asleep, Nicholas is like, okay, let's go, Allison. And they go downstairs, and in John's own bed, they just get in there and like all night. And then Absalom comes around again like he does like every night. And he's like, hey, Allison, can I kiss your face hole? And maybe more, I don't know. But Allison is like, I am in love with another. Because remember, Nicholas is like the master of sex. And they totally. So she's all like, I'm in love with Nicholas. And he's like, please, just put out. And she's like, no. And then he's like, come on, please. And finally she's like, okay. And so he leans in to kiss her, and all he kisses is her naked booty, because she just stuck it out the window. And then her and Nicholas are like laughing, and he just like runs away, and they think like, oh, he's running away because he's a crybaby. But actually what he does is Absalom goes and he gets a red hot poker from the blacksmith. And wait, not a black guy named Smith. There's not like blacksmith and whitesmith. It was just a metal guy. Like I'm not racist. And okay, so Absalom goes back and he's like, hey, can I have a kiss again? And this time Nicholas just got up to go to the bathroom, and he's like, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go fart in his face. So he sticks his butt out the window, and he farts right in Absalom's face. And he's like, and this time, though, Absalom just pokes him right in the butt with the poker. And then Nicholas is all like, oh, water, water, water. And John, thinking it's flood time, go time, grabs his axe that he's got in the tub and he cuts himself loose. And as he's cutting himself loose, he falls and breaks his arm. And all this commotion stirs up the town people, and they come over and they're like, hey guys, what's the deal, man? And John's like John's all, there's a flood coming, and Nick told me about this flood that's coming. You know, Nicholas, my boy, the astrologer, and he's like, tell him, Nick. And Nick and Allison are all just like, what? This guy's talking crazy talk. And they just pretend, you know, they're like, I have no idea what he's saying. And all the people are like, well, I guess everyone got their dues. And they all just go home. And then I, the miller, was all like, I'm going to pray for y'all. How's that for a tale? Top that, Mr. Monk.